And hi, Emily, would you like to check your audio?
Hello, can you hear me?
Sounds good, thank you. And David, go ahead and check your
Hi,
microphone.
this is Dave Barry, mic check.
Very good, thank you. And Glenn, go ahead.
Had to unmute myself.
Well, you
Am I
did great.
okay?
Yes,
Thanks.
sounds good. And this is an announcement that our feed is now live on the internet. Again, we do recommend that you pause your video feed until you're joining conversation because it is featured on the broadcast. Rob, if you'd like to check your audio.
Yes, how's this?
Very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Jason, if you'd like to check your audio.
Test.
It's a little on the fuzzy side, but I think you'll be okay.
Okay,
So that sounded better.
I'll change up.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Jeff Draper, would you like to do a microphone check?
Check. How are you doing?
Great job. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Steve Mitra, would you like to check your audio?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Sounds clear. Thank you. Anyone I've missed, feel free to chime in. Hello, Jennifer. Would you like to check your microphone?
Sure thing. I don't think I'm going to have to speak, but just in case.
Well, you're set if you do.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Hi, Consuelo. How are you?
She might not be able to hear you yet. Good afternoon, Supervisor Chavez, if you are there.
Hi there.
Hello, sounds good. All right, Consuelo, it looks like you're on. Would you like to check your audio?
Good morning. Yes, or good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Sounds good.
Oh,
Also,
perfect. Thank you.
Jennifer threw out a hello, but I don't think your audio was hooked up earlier.
No, sorry. I was having some issues.
And Julia, would you like to check your audio?
Testing.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Sandhya's not connected. Sandhya, would you like to check your audio?
Yes, can you hear me?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Megan. Would you like to check your audio?
Sure. Hi, everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you. And if I've missed anyone who anticipates speaking, please feel free to pop in. Steve Preminger, I see you there. Would you like to check your audio? It looks like you tried. Your mute is on still.
Hi, this is Sarah. Can you hear me?
Sounds great, Sarah.
Great, thank you.
Hi, this is Steve.
Okay, Steve, you're a little muffled. I'm not sure if there's anything you can do to improve that.
I can talk louder, I guess.
That would be good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jess. This is Marielle. Dan Little, the director of DFCS, is in the attendees. Can you make him a panelist, please?
I sure can. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a reminder to folks that your video feed is featured on our broadcast while it's running. So we recommend that you pause your video feed unless you're participating in conversation.
Jess, can you hear me?
Sounds great. Thank you. Supervisor Chavez, would you like me to continue audio checks for the next few minutes, or would you like
Oh,
to?
that would be great, Jess. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone I've missed who anticipates speaking, go ahead and hop on. Check your audio for me.
Jess, this is Sheriff Lori Smith.
You sound great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Sherry Terrell with Behavioral Health.
Sounds great, Sherry. Thank you.
Hi, this is Martha Holland with Seniors Agenda.
Very good. Thank you.
Hi,
Good
this is
afternoon.
Moretta from Behavioral Health.
Thanks, Moretta. You sound good.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Zelia Costa with Behavioral Health.
You sound clear, Zelia. Thank you.
This is Diana Miller from Seniors Agenda.
Hi, Diana. Sounds good.
Thank you, Jess. This is Pratima from Office of Women's Policy.
Good afternoon, Protima. Thank you. You sound good.
This is Marianne Warren from the Department of Aging and Adult Services.
Thank you. Your audio sounds good.
Hi, Dan Little with DFCS.
Thank you, Dan. Sorry about getting you in.
No problem.
Good afternoon, Mike Sim, probation.
Thank you, Mike. You're just a tiny bit fuzzy, but I think you'll be okay if you speak clearly. Just a reminder, our broadcast is live online. And for those of you who just joined, when your video feed is on, it is featured. So we recommend that you turn your video on only when participating in conversation. And good afternoon, Supervisor Cortese.
Good afternoon.
You sound good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, we're going to begin our meeting. And Dave, your last FGOC Children's Family Seniors Committee meeting, and you know, just a big thank you to a lot of the labor of your love is actually on the agenda today with some really amazing accomplishments by our staff.
Yeah, thanks, President Chavez, Chair Chavez, and I will miss this combination. I've had the chance over the years to work both these committees, not always at the same time, but pretty much going through the 12 years. I started off on FGOC originally with Supervisor Yeager, and you know, we had a lot of fun. I think the staff ultimately did too, launching some major environmental initiatives, getting our first solar farms developed in our environmental stewardship goals, and doing some other not so fun stuff like auditing, but it's been a joy. And then working with you and all the special hearings that we've done that have led, I think, to some, you know, great change, positive change, certainly things I'm going to miss in the future, doing that kind of work with real people in our chambers in the good old pre-COVID days, testifying, on so many different really, really important issues. And I know that you're going to keep focusing on gender violence and sexual assault and domestic violence in general, particularly through this committee in the future. And anything I can do publicly or privately to help support that effort, I hope you'll let me know, because that's been some of the work that I think has been so profoundly unveiled, in this committee process. But thanks to all the folks that, not just today, but that have appeared before these committees over the years, that do the actual work. That's where all the real work's done. So thank you.
Really. Thanks, Dave. So we're going to get started. If I could ask for a roll call.
Vice Chairperson Cortese.
Here.
And Chairperson Chavez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I see no public speakers for public comment. So I'm going to go back to the board for approval of the consent calendar and the agenda. I think that just the first thing I wanted to say is that there's so much good work here that we're not going to be able to, really to dive into that. But I did want to just highlight some of that as we go through the consent calendar. And then we have some kind of meaty items that we want to dig right into. So if you don't mind, Dave, I'll start with the consent calendar. And if there's anything that you would like to add, please let me know. And yeah, that would be great. So what I'd like to do is add item 6, item 9, item 12, and item 15 to the consent calendar. We're going to defer item 18, and we're going to defer item 14, and I'll come back through that in just a moment. So first of all, I just want to remind everybody that we do read all of your reports, and most of them were so clear and direct that this is really an opportunity for me to say thank you, and I hope I get a chance to with a number of your projects. Item 6 is the Commission on the Status of Women's Revised Work Plan and Budget. I'm happy to forward this to the board directly for their approval. The report was very good and very clear. Item 9 is a quarterly report on timely medical and dental examinations. I just want to say how excited I am about all the work the staff is doing, and this feels like it's really moving. I want to acknowledge the leadership of the Healthier Kids Foundation and all the staff that have been working on this. And they've done a really good job in helping to reduce the number of children who are needing emergency dental referrals, which is great, and have been able to connect children with needed dental screenings. This partnership to support foster children with dental and medical visits within a month of placement is just really exciting, and I feel like it's in good hands. So I want to thank the staff for that. On item 12, this is a report back on the Social Worker Training Academy referral and options to expand and enhance the training for newly hired child welfare social workers. This report was very delayed with timelines and goals. I'm sorry, delayed, I apologize, detailed with a lot of timelines and goals, and I thought that was super helpful. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the results. Item 15 is the report on the Child Advocacy Center, and I want to thank county staff and our county partners for the progress that's being made on the center. I also just want to appreciate staff's recommendations relative to reporting, communication, service provision, and prevention, and I'm really grateful for all of your leadership and persistence, or we wouldn't be where we are today. I would like to request a progress report in January to the Children's Family Seniors Committee. And my reason for that is I want to make sure that we're getting information to include information relative to the national accreditation process and the best timing to provide an update to the Children's Family Seniors Committee on the child abuse prevention work. So I'll look forward to getting that information from staff. Item 18 is the FAF audit, and the audit looked great, and I really appreciate both the auditor and the staff coming forward with really in agreement with all of the recommendations. There is one outstanding recommendation relative to oversight of some of the projects, and I know this is of interest to the board, so I wanted to make sure we had time to just dive into that last one. I would like to encourage FAF and the auditor to speak one more time before that meeting to see if there can be agreement, but if there isn't, just to better dissect the implications of the lack of concurrence. On item 29, this is our whistleblower report. I wanted to say here that the clarity of the report was really appreciated. And Dave, I know this was something that you helped get this going with your referral in 2009. The report had a lot of really great information. What I do want to call out is there appears to be only 4 complaints that were sustained out of 635 received for the reporting period. And so what I want to better understand is this threshold for sustaining complaints. And I think that's a very important discussion. What I'd like to ask is how many complaints are, when complaints are closed, when they're referred to EOD, and my office may bring a referral to the board in December that will seek that same kind of transparency as it relates to complaints we get from the whistleblower program in terms of what doesn't get investigated and why. So I want it on consent, but I'd also like to ask for the report to come annually, but ask that the board receive an off-agenda report every few months with information on complaints that are sustained, partially sustained, or those that are moved to litigation or to another department. If this report needs to be confidential, please let the board know that, and I would direct counsel to work with that office on that issue. Just a couple of other things I wanted to just compliment is on item 20, this item, I'd like to recommend that we leave it on consent, but move it to the board without a recommendation. And then on the TSS work, I just wanted to say thank you again for the updates and the clarity in terms of projects. Item 22, the fairgrounds report, these are some really, really exciting updates. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about these in the first quarter. So I'm hoping that you come back as these projects get more developed sooner in the new year. The county cash balances, again, I wanted to say on this report, it's a really important report, and the way it was designed this time was very easy to read, and I think easy if the public wanted to review it. And I think those were all of my comments. Supervisor Cortese, is there anything else that you would like to add to consent, or anything that I put on consent you would like to take off or comment on? Dave, you're on mute.
Well, I just want to clarify 20. It sounded like you wanted to put 20 on consent when you were talking about it just now. I'm not sure you said that in the original overview, but I may have missed it. I got up to 18. We're deferring 18. So let me tell you what I think we're doing. We are adding to consent over and above what's already listed. Item 6, item 9, item 12, item 15. We're deferring or continuing item 18. And then on item 20, you were just mentioning perhaps having that on consent, but letting it go to the board without a recommendation?
That's correct.
Okay, so 20 would be on consent as well. Well, I'm happy to make that motion.
I just want to add one more, Supervisor, and that is that item 14 at staff's request is being deferred. And that's a residential care discussion.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't know if you wanted to hear item 8, or if you were interested in deferring that one.
Defer or just approve the
I'm sorry.
Consent. Yeah, I'm happy to receive it on consent, and we've certainly gone through the report already and evaluated it with my staff. So we can add consent, 8 to consent as well, and then 14 is being deferred or continued by staff requests or administrative requests. So 6, 8, 9, 12, 15 and 20 on consent, and 14 and 18 would be continued. In addition to those listed on consent already, which are 21 through 30.
Yes.
Okay, that's a motion.
All right, so that's a motion. I'm going to go to the public to see if there are any comments, and then I'll just staff if there's anything that you think needs to be left on the regular agenda. Just this would be the time to talk about it, and we'll go to the public comment.
Shall we do 2 minutes,
Yes,
Madam
please.
President? Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
The next speaker is Brett Seabloom. I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. The timer will start when you begin speaking.
This is regarding item 14. I'm Brett Seedloom from the Law Foundation. For the last month, I have interviewed residents with severe mental health disabilities of the Alibaba Residential Care Facility who are being moved against their will. These residents reported being stable and happy until the Behavioral Health Services Department upended their lives by strong-arming them from their homes. The report states this was a careful transition, but residents experienced the opposite. They reported being pressured, harassed, and were told if they refused to accept new placements, some sight unseen, that they would end up homeless. We also have serious concerns about these new placements. Per the report, many residents have been moved to crisis or temporary facilities without long-term solutions. Additionally, we believe one listed, IFSP, isn't even a facility, it's a service. I haven't heard any complaints related to resident care. However, I understand the county has an issue with the operator's business practices, but the consequence of severing ties with the owner destabilized the health and lives of the nearly 30 residents with severe mental health disabilities caught in this crossfire. I believe we can do better. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. All right. I see no other public speakers, and I'm going to go back to the board for action. Any comments from staff? People are good?
Yes, Supervisor Chavez, this is Steve Mitra, Assistant County Counsel, and I oversee the whistleblower program. I just wanted to clarify your instruction on item 29. First of all, just to understand, you said convert the report to an annual report as opposed to every 6 months. Second, to provide you off agenda more details on referrals to other departments, and also an analysis of the percentage of sustained complaints. Is that fair?
Just slightly different is that I wanted to get quarterly all complaints, sustained complaints, the unsustained complaints, those that resulted in whatever the result was, whether or not they went to another department or they were being litigated, and if that needs to be under a confidential memorandum because of the type of information I'm requesting, that's fine. But the idea is to better dissect how we could have that many complaints with so little sustained. So it made me curious about whether or not we were doing something else with the complaints in the process.
I got it. Thank you very much.
And that would be quarterly until we get a better understanding.
Got it.
Off agenda. Thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we will take a vote.
Vice Chairperson Cortese?
Aye.
And Chairperson Chavez?
Yes. Thank you. This is, we're now going to go to item 4 and 5, and I requested this be on first. So I'm going to request that we hear them concurrently. Both items are related to the audit of the jail and the reform recommendations, and I am interested in who, if anybody, will be presenting on the item.
Supervisor, this is Martha Wapinski. I can kick this off.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is as you mentioned, a report of the plan moving forward for auditing the jail reforms recommendations. What you have before you is a joint proposal between the departments involved in those jail reform recommendations, specifically the Sheriff's Office, Custody Health, Behavioral Health, FAF, and County Council. I'm going to go briefly through each part of our recommended approach, and then the department representatives are on the line and available for questions. And just for your awareness, Mike Giannacco from OCLEM is on the line as well. So first, we will be recommending that the audit covers the 80 summarized recommendations as opposed to the 600 plus individual recommendations. The 600 plus are already included in the 80, and are tied for purposes of the public on the jail reforms website. We're doing this because for the last several years, the departments have been using the 80 summarized recommendations for tracking purposes and board reporting purposes, and it would align better with an audit. We also found that some of the 600 recommendations were duplicative. Many contain specific instructions that may not be able to be operationalized, and then some were observations rather than recommendations. So we just think moving forward with the 80 is a more effective approach. We're also proposing that the Office of Corrections and Law Enforcement Monitoring conduct the audit moving forward, given their requisite knowledge and experience. Since the group of departments acknowledge that some jail reforms will take years, we're proposing a process for timely responses so that the audit goes out, even though the audit will go out months and even years. The process will be when the auditor requests information, but the departments would provide a response within 45 days or provide a memo within that same time frame, kind of outlining the issues, why it's going to take longer, or whether the information is confidential or complicated data collection, things like that, that'll take more time. We're also recommending making updates to the 80 summarized recommendations at the board meetings, special study sessions on jail reforms, including announcing which ones are complete so that they're ready for auditing. We're also looking at the importance of demonstrating to the public on all the work the departments have done on jail reforms. The existing work group will be looking at multiple methods for publicizing all the work that's been done, as well as the ongoing efforts that these departments are doing. In addition, county administration will continue tracking and publicizing the progress on the existing jail reforms website. And I'm just going to wrap up by saying the departments were able to get to this recommendation because of the effective collaboration that already exists relating to both the implementing the jail reforms and also the remedial plans for the 2 consent decrees. And so with that, we're ready to take questions.
So first of all, Martha, I just want to say to you that the comments I'm about to make are not directed at you. And I think you ended up with a short straw because you're the one who's here. I think it is remarkable to end by saying that there's effective collaboration, and especially because that's not been my experience. It's not how each of the parties really reflect their relationship with each other. And I think it's even more unnerving that we're moving to OCLEM when we don't have a signed agreement between between the Sheriff's Office and OCLEM. And I want to say too that the auditor is an extension of the board, and I am convinced that the departments that interacted with the auditor during this process were neither collaborative or helpful or forthcoming. And so I think this should go to the full board, because I think the full board should get a chance to hear how effective collaboration is going to work. But I, for one, this just reinforces from my perspective the lack of responsiveness from many departments. And Martha, it wasn't just the administration. I felt this way about county council relative to this audit and their interaction with the auditor and certainly the sheriff's department. And so I appreciate that the organization has moved on to a different place, but given the initial direction we were given, that we gave, I believe that initial, that the initial direction was not responded to appropriately with any kind of earnestness. Now, I know we're in COVID-19 right now, but this has been going on for years. This is not we're stretched too thin to really address this. This to me is more reflective of cultural changes that still need to change in our organization relative to reform. But I want to restate that, I appreciate that, like I said, Martha, you ended up with the short end of the stick. And I also appreciate that the organization has chosen a process and a direction. And I really hope for the sake of the people that are both in our custody and people who we'd like not to see in our custody, that again, that this effective collaboration comes to fruition. So those are my thoughts on it. Dave, I don't know if you have any comments.
I'm in agreement. I mean, just for the purposes of, making sure that there's not any question as to general consensus of the committee members. Obviously, it is a committee, and there's two of us here, as elected officials. So I concur with what you said, and I really don't have a lot to add to that. So much to be done still.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend we just move this without recommend both items to the full board, and then the staff explain how the process will work from here.
That's fine. I'm happy to move it in that direction.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll second that. And I forget, do we need to do roll call votes if there's just two of us? Council? I'm going to assume Dave's a yes, I'm a yes. I just did the roll call. Martha, thank you. All right, so that will move to the full board. We'll move on to item 7. This is digital inclusion for older adults.
Good afternoon. My name's Martha Hall. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marianne.
This is Marianne Warren, the Director of the Department of Aging and Adult Services, and I was just coming on to introduce Martha Holland, who is our interim director, working out of class and doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.
So, Dave, do you want a presentation, or did you have questions you wanted to ask?
The report was really pretty straightforward. I know we just sort of launched all this direction fairly recently, and I know you're working with the city of San Jose, of course, because they have a funding initiative over a period of years. That evidently can be applied to this older adults population, at least the way I'm reading the report. I really just, I didn't suggest putting this on consent because, to be frank about it, my last committee meeting, we launched this referral not so long ago, and I wanted to have an opportunity to thank you, but also to to elevate it one more time while I'm still here. But let me just ask this: what support going forward? So both Supervisor Chavez and I can hear that. Do you feel might be needed? To continue with this work? We all know it's fiscal tough times. I'm not trying to put either of you on the spot on that. I'm not asking for a request for budget appropriation per se or anything like that. What I wasn't clear on reading the report is, how does the county sort of scale this work with the youth and family digital divide work? We just wrote a check, sent it over to the County Office of Education, and through their partnerships, they're scaling away, right? They're actually implementing away. How do we get to the point where we're more in that kind of a position, actually into funding and implementation at some point? I mean, what's the vision for that? And is it going to be waiting for better times here? Is it going to be getting all the planning work done ahead of time and then just hope that we have the ability to appropriate for it? Or is it going to be, and when I say we, I mean the county, or is it, are there more specific opportunities that you see out there, via grant writing or foundations that are interested in this work, that type of thing? Or are we there yet?
Diana, do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead and I can follow.
Okay, so I'm currently working with the Santa Clara County, our TSS department. We are looking at existing supplies or computers, I should say, that we have that they could possibly provide to the community. We're currently working with County Council, Department of Family and Children's Services, potentially Department of Employment and Benefits Services. But what we're trying to do is use what we have currently in our, in our stock, I should say, or, in our inventory, and repurpose that for the use, of our seniors and disabled adults in the community. So currently we're looking for an organization, potentially First Five, or, perhaps another community-based organization that we're working with, perhaps Aki or Silicon Valley Independent Living Center. Somebody who could assist us in developing a program where we could use existing equipment for use by our seniors. And this is timely because Senior Nutrition Program just finished a survey of all of its clients. Sorry, my dog is the clients that they serve, and where they provided a hold on a second, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So basically, there was a survey that was conducted where there were gaps and needs that were identified by our communities. So we're hoping to use that information that we obtained from our surveys that were collected through the Senior Nutrition Program and apply that to existing equipment that has become available. So hopefully that's going to be at no cost to the county. And again, working with an organization or First Five or whoever the organization is that could potentially assist us in implementing this program at no fiscal impact to the county. Sorry about my dog.
That's all right. Supervisor Chavez and I both have dogs in the house. So mine might show up at any time now. You never know.
I could also add to that. This is Diana Miller, the interim senior nutrition program manager. But we also know that SourceWise is using some of their CARES Act money with an RFP that's gone out for 3 organizations to have grants up to $40,000 for digital inclusion. So that's another level, as well as the state of California Department of Aging is also taking some of their CARES Act money and getting donation of home devices by Google. And so that will also something that I know SourceWise is requesting, so we can get some into our community here. So, we've met about 3 times, but that's looking at where we can, and hopefully if there's another stimulus money that's brought to the county that it might be hopefully looked at, that some of that could go toward digital inclusion for older adults, since the last CARES Act went for families and children.
Okay, that's an even more thorough response than I expected, which is a good thing. So thank you. I just wanted to get an idea that you're, getting some traction in terms of sort of the fiscal side of it and opportunities, for funding. And it's great to hear it. I guess it occurs to me more obviously now listening to you, what a huge sort of captive audience we have in so many circumstances for, outreach and surveys and connecting with the people themselves who are in this population through county programs like senior nutrition. So thank you. That's all I really had, and I appreciate the update. And I hope to learn at some point that this all snowballed into something really huge. So it looks like it's headed in that direction. Thank you, Supervisor Chavez.
Thank you, and thank you to the staff. I don't think there's any action we need to take except thank you and good luck, and we'll hear more about it.
Thank you.
We're going to move to item 10, and this is the Vietnamese American Service Center. I think, Steve, are you presenting on this?
Hi, good afternoon.
There you go.
Roberto Mendoza and Steve Preminger. Hi, Steve. Roberto Mendoza with Facilities and Fleet, Capital Projects Manager, with the quarterly update and progress report on the VASC. I may share my screen. Everybody see that, right?
No, actually.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. How's that?
Better, thanks.
Okay, awesome. So just to bring everybody up to speed, we are entering one of the latter phases of the project now, where we are looking at enclosing the exterior of the building. So here's some update highlights. The roofing has been completed, both on the upper roof and the third floor patio deck. So we're watertight. Most of the exterior skin, the subskin is completed, and currently looking at framing out the storefront glass. Storefront frames are going up, and the first of the glass was being installed last week. So we're seeing that progress as well. There currently is work that progresses on installing the 2 elevators. So for about the next month to a month and a half, we're going to be installing elevators, and rooftop mechanical equipment is going to begin to be craned into place. And so what's left is interior partitions, exterior cladding, storefront system, building out of the trash enclosure, and finishing out all the ductwork and piping. As far as the community engagement, we had a virtual hard hat tour with Supervisor Cortese last month, about a month ago, and I believe that went well, and that was broadcast to the community. And we're looking forward to reaching out, continuing the community outreach in light of the Lunar New Year. We're going to plan something for them and hopefully unveil our plans for public art. So that's to be determined at this point. I'm going to follow up with a couple of images from the site so you can see where things were just a few days ago. These pictures are about end of the month, October. This is what the exterior of the building and the rooftop are looking like. And if you'll indulge me for the next couple of minutes, I do have another time-lapse video to bring you up to end of October. How's that? So we are pretty pleased with the progress thus far, and we are still tracking to complete this by mid-year 2021. So we're, hopefully we have not too much of a winter, but we do need the rain. However, so we're comfortable in knowing that the building and the interior of the building can progress. We're not so certain about the site development since we're working with a very, very tight, very constricted site. So that's where our snapshot is at this point.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you to you and Steve and to the whole crew working on this. Dave, I wanted to turn to you since I know this has been a labor of love for you, and really just as a reminder to those who are still with us for this meeting that the original work that laid the groundwork for the Vietnamese American Service Center was the Vietnamese Community Health Study that Dave initiated when he first got on the board, that allowed us to think and dream about how we could provide services in a more culturally appropriate, customized way. And so with that, I wanted to turn it to Dave.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Chavez. Well, it's been a labor of love of both of us, and you deflect a lot of credit, and obviously you and of course the administration deserves a lot of credit for figuring this out, getting it funded. And I mean, the construction that I toured recently, as Roberto was talking about, is really, really top drawer, top notch construction going on out there. That building, if it wants to be out there for 200 years, it'll be out there for 200 years. I mean, it's being that well built. And I was just really proud of, of the county and the whole effort, taking the tour. And you can see the beauty starting to unfold. That was part of the design process that our architect and of course the community was so diligent about and so thoughtful about and really so kind of artistic about. It's just it's really going to be one of the gem signature buildings, I think, in the whole county. And I don't just mean county government. So hope you get through the rainy season okay. And it's good that we have a rainy season, but hope we get through it okay. I know everyone was rushing to get the roof buttoned up when I was there, and there's probably a little bit of that kind of work still going on. But I'll be there, rain, shine, hail, thunder, whatever it is. I'm going to be there for the ribbon cutting. So don't forget to invite me. Thank you.
Nope, you're going to be the star. You'll be invited. Thank you for that. Thank you very much, staff. I don't have any other questions or comments. We have no public comment, so thanks. We're going to move on to our next item, which is item 11, and this is the hub.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hello. First, I'd like to introduce the team members we have here today. For this item, we have Consuelo Hernandez from the Office of Supportive Housing leading the development project. We have Don Long and Jamila Hankins from the Department of Family and Children's Services to discuss and answer questions about the hub operations. And then finally, Facilities and Fleet, David Berry and myself, Emily Chen, to answer questions regarding the demolition of the existing facilities. So next we have prepared a very quick presentation that I am sharing my screen now. Please let me know once that's up.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So here's our title slide. Next, just to remind everyone of the context of this project, this is the site of the proposed Parkmore Housing and Community Development. This is on county-owned property at the corner of Parkmore Avenue and Meridian Avenue in San Jose. This future building would include space for the hub on the ground floor, including space for classrooms, programs, and outdoor space, And then in the remaining space on the ground floor and in the floors above would be the supportive housing units and residential resources and amenities. And I see you squinting, Supervisor Chavez. We can provide a better, this was just a little snippet of it, but I can provide a better
No, that's
version.
perfect. Thank you.
So as discussed at the October 20th board meeting, county administration is currently proceeding with the demolition of the existing buildings. As you can see there, there's 4. And we're going to complete this prior to construction of the development project. So what this allows is that it allows a developer to start construction sooner by the county taking on part of that site prep work. So our plan right now, our current schedule is by summer 2021, we would come back to bring back to the board the project plans, specifications, and request authority to advertise the demolition contract. Then by fall 2021, we would come back again to share the received bids and request approval to award the demolition contract, and then start demolition subsequently and have it completed before the developer begins their construction.
I'm sorry, Emily, could you stop for a moment?
Yeah.
The demolition won't start until next fall?
Yes.
A year from now?
Yes, and then so in this time period, we would be doing the design. They are older buildings, so we'll do the appropriate hazardous abatement. But we can bring back a clearer schedule for demolition.
Well, here's really what I'm interested in, just understanding is just how we tighten the schedule. Because what I really want to know is we're already, from my perspective, about a year behind, where we maybe even a little bit longer because we don't have our developer. And we knew that we were going to slow down a little bit when we put housing on it, but not quite this long. So what I'm really wanting to understand is how fast can we do this? And let me just say this. We met with the young people to talk to them about this vision in 2014. And by the time we get this built, they will all be 10 years older. And so really what I'm thinking about is, like, let me just say the VASC freaks me out because we have all these seniors who haven't had a chance to see it and they dreamt about it. So like, I want it to be built before more of them pass on. With this one, I'm trying to figure out how to get, how to have this still be part of the vision of the young people that really led the way here. So that's what I was trying to better understand, just what could be done concurrently versus in a linear way. So thank you for that.
Maybe this will help in our next slide. I'm going to pass it on to Consuelo, who's going to go over the development schedule. So I think between these two timelines, that might help give you more context. All right, Consuelo.
Thank you, Emily. Good afternoon, Supervisor Chavez and Supervisor Cortese. I think, Supervisor Chavez, you bring up a really good point in terms of how we talk about the timelines, and perhaps it would be beneficial to see how they are actually concurrent processes. So we're looking at the demolition and the selection of the developer, going through the land use entitlement process at the same time, so that construction can really start shortly after the demolition portion is completed and the property is controlled by the developer. So what we have here is the tentative timeline for future supportive housing and the hub development. We are expecting to receive proposals from our developer qualified pool in mid-December. And in your report today, what we say is that we'll come back to the board by the end of January 2021 with a proposed developer. The reason why this slide shows February is because we don't have the board meeting dates confirmed for January. And so in case it slips into the first meeting of February, that's why we wanted to be more conservative here. So we will expect proposals mid-December. We will convene a review panel to look at those proposals from those 12 developers. and then negotiate and bring something back for the board's consideration and approval of the selected developer. The great thing about the site is we have done a substantial amount of legwork on the land use piece in connecting with the city of San Jose. So we are still mobilizing and doing what the developer would have stepped in to do had they been selected. So we're making sure that we are responsive to the timelines so that there are no delays. And based on our most current information, we are looking at securing entitlements by the end of next calendar year. And then the developer at the same time would be looking at financing. So what you'll see from us is a proposal to use the 2016 Measure A Affordable Housing Bond, so that closes the gap. And once the construction is done, then that construction, the demolition will be completed, and then the developer can start construction immediately after, rather than waiting for the demolition to happen before the developer starts to mobilize.
So on the financing piece, the developer would need financing because, I mean, we're owning and operating the project, and are we presuming there will be tax credits or some other additional financing?
That's correct, Supervisor. They will, because of the way that the language and the measure and the guidelines, they have to leverage other resources. Otherwise, the 1-to-3 ratio of Measure A to non-Measure A dollars wouldn't be met. And that's for the housing piece.
And can you remind me how much we have already set aside for the project that's not Measure A?
Yeah, I think it's roughly about 14 million for the hub improvement piece.
Because one thing I would say is that, you know, the financing is the thing that could throw all of this off pretty dramatically. And so we would need a partner with really strong capacity to be part of this. And then the other question I would ask is the money, is the 14 million or the money that was invested in the land, did we use Measure A money for the land purchase?
No,
we did not. So
I think what I would want to ask council is whether or not the additional sources of funds already can count to the 3-to-1, particularly because the purchase of the land and the development of some of the service provision components of it are going to be at the base, whether or not that is a, whether or not we can use that as part of the leverage.
We can look into that, Supervisor.
Thank you, Rob.
We're happy to connect with council and check on that, Supervisor.
Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, next. Sorry, I jumped into your slides. I know we got them just a few minutes ago, so I haven't had a chance to look at them. Oh.
And then next will be Don Long going over the hub operations update.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Don Long with the Department of Family and Children Services.
Hey, Don.
Next slide, please. So with COVID, there was some slight, but not much of an impact on the operations of the hub. We continue to serve youth, and as you can see from the slide, a number of the core programs have been in place. Food distribution, computer usage, showers, laundry, employment, virtual workshops, and the hub market continues to be operational. In addition to that, we had 124 youth who received gift card distributions totaling $6,150 towards that. And we'll continue to partner with iFoster to ensure that our foster youth, the older population anyway, are receiving laptops and cell phones to use as hotspots. And I would say that, things have been maintained pretty well. And I want to congratulate our partners for stepping up and really doing a fantastic job in during this time of COVID, and really stepping up and ensuring that our youth have access to all of these services. So that concludes a brief update on the programs. And with that, I will turn it back to the panel and the committee for questions.
Thank you. And thank you for that update. And it's good to know that how many of the children got access to, you know, what's just totally necessary for connecting to the world. So thank you for that. Dave, did you have any comments or questions on this?
No, but you know, I understand I shouldn't say no and then say something, but I don't have questions or concerns other than what you already expressed. And I know, you know, we often go through at the beginning of these projects, sort of a appropriately conservative initial timeline, and then try to tighten it up and, you know, bring it into as aggressive of a form as we can to get things up and running, especially where we're waiting for service delivery like this. And I remember the work that was done that you're referring to with the youth at the hub and at a location that wasn't working very well. And so I know, you know, how committed we all are to seeing this happen, but it looks like it's about ready to get completely untracked and moving quickly here. So hopefully that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. I know everything that we build is a labor of love for all of you, whether it's the Vietnamese Service Center or the hub or, you know, mental health facilities for youth. And so, you know, I appreciate the sense of urgency that I know you have, that I share, and I will continue to be urgent with you. That's my warning. All right. Thank you all very much for the report and the update. Look forward to learning more. So I lost my place. So we'll now go to item 13, which is the neighborhood safety unit.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Chavez, Supervisor Cortese. It's nice to be here. Congratulations, Supervisor Cortese. We're excited to have a friend and an ally at the state level. So I have a quick presentation. I'm going to share my screen if you can bear with me. Can you all see that?
We can, thank you.
Great. So we are going to go quickly through our performance. This is our Q1 update for the Children, Seniors, and Families Committee. We're going to go quickly through our performance data and then move on to an update on the TEFRA hearing, because I believe Supervisor Chavez, you had requested a more detailed update on that during our last report out.
Really helpful, thank you.
No problem. So today we're just briefly going to talk about our COVID response efforts, our performance data, and again, an update about the TEFRA status. The Valley Palms community, as well as the San Isidro community, for which both NSU serves, continue to provide food distribution, diaper and formula distributions, backpack and school supply distributions, emergency essential supply kits, neighborhood level testing, and we launched a parent support network at the beginning of this school year to assist parents in Gilroy in learning how to use the computers that they were being allocated and provided to the school district. I'm going to go through a little bit of that data. In zip code 95122, we expanded our partnerships to 8, and that includes both new volunteers and agencies that we work directly with to provide those COVID response efforts. A total of 557 individuals were served. You'll see here that the distributions and the number of individuals served were again quite large, and that's because the Valley Palms resident group has become very sophisticated in their continued distribution efforts. So they served 4,043 individuals within 3 distributions, working closely with Second Harvest Food Bank. And they also continue to hold daily nutritional programs where they served 58. They had 58 days of nutritional programming between July and September, and then they served 11,380 duplicate young children in that neighborhood through that program. Likewise, in 95020, we continue to expand our COVID response efforts, again, through diaper distribution, formula distribution. Many of those distributions happen in partnership, and so they developed a robust team of both volunteers and community-based organizations to help them do that. They served 374 individuals through their response efforts. We have not yet been able to establish a food distribution site in East Gilroy at the San Isidro Center, but we are working on that. So we expect one to be up and running in January. And again, that'll be a resident-run food distribution program, which seemed to be quite successful. However, they do continue to operate a daily nutritional program at the park, and they've served 44 duplicate individuals. They held 44 daily nutritional activities or days, and they served 3,350 duplicate children in that effort. So our program performance summary for Q1, I'm not going to go through this in detail, but you can see that there are items or performance metrics which we are not on track yet. Part of that is due to the slow start of our activities as a result of COVID-19. We do expect these to tick up though through Q2 and Q3. So you'll see that our youth attendance at sponsored extracurricular activities is at 0. We are sponsoring virtual events. However, those are going to occur more in Q2 and Q3. Usually in the beginning of a school year, we don't do a lot of social activities for kids as they kind of gear up to participate in school. In zip code 95122, again, we are holding sponsored classes with residents, which include resident leadership workshops with a new partnership called Visión y Compromiso, and they're offering various different charlas or workshops around leadership development, among other classes they're taking. Parent-teacher neighborhood meetings, we're doing those virtual. We expect those to grow, but again, it's kind of a slow start due to COVID. Moving down the list into the family served through food distribution. Again, our goal was to serve 2,600 families through food distribution, and we're at 668. And that is unique families, so we're at 26%. I assume that's going to grow throughout the year, especially given the situation right now. So that's our program's performance summary for 95122. Moving on to 95020. Again, for our youth extracurricular activities, same kind of scenario. We're just waiting to really gear up with our school partnerships for those activities. The resident attending sponsored classes and leadership workshops, excuse me, I misspoke. In the previous slide, I said we're partnering with Visión y Compromiso. That's actually in this zip code. We're partnering with Visión y Compromiso. And here, again, we're seeing a slow start to that, but it is happening. We are on target to, surprisingly, we've had several virtual community events and socially distant community events. So those have been exciting. We've also had a few attendees at sponsored school-wide events. So those include backpack distributions and supply distributions. Sorry, I'm going a little fast because I want to get to the TEFRA. All right, so just a reminder to the committee, on March 10th of 2020, the City of San Jose unanimously approved the regulatory agreement required for KDF to access state bond funding on the condition that the Valley Palms residents' request for improvements would be codified in their regulatory agreement. So the residents' requests are here summarized below. They were codified in the regulatory agreement, which means that they're required to be implemented in order for KDF to receive that bond funding, which is managed through the California Housing Finance Agency. I also wanted to add, and it's highlighted in our report, that the Valley Palms resident leaders are also working with the East Peace Partnership to really scale the strategy of using the TEFRA as a direct opportunity to influence improved property management practices and facility maintenance for TEFRA eligible properties in East San Jose. So that's one of the most exciting components, I think, of this work. So here are the community demands, and then we've provided a quick status update. I'm not going to read them verbatim, but I'll summarize. So the security cameras, that has been a long-standing issue in Valley Palms, as well as lighting. As an update, the new security camera system has been installed. It's in the testing phase. We meet regularly with the property management company, the security firm, San Jose PD, Valley Palms Unidos, NSU, and we also are including Somos Mayfair in those discussions. So we're constantly talking about the status of that. There has been new lighting installed throughout the complex. It's still in process, but it's really exciting. Also, the construction of the Family Resource Center, it's on the opposite end of the current FRC. That resource center will be dedicated to the residents. They'll be able to use that for pro-social activities and organizing efforts. The turf project has been completed. The fencing has been completed. We've asked them to install a water fountain, which they are going to do as well. They are working on replacing the current property management company. That was one of the demands Valley Palms Unidos had requested. That transition is expected to happen probably by Q4 of 2021. They had requested an extension to the city of San Jose for that, and Valley Palms Unidos did support that extension. We have, of course, executed an agreement with KDF, the owners, that allows both the county and our providers, our partner providers on site to use the established FRC. So that's currently current. We've also, the Valley Palms community has also requested improvements to on-site security practices. So they have hired a new security firm with appropriate staffing levels. You can see their schedule is outlined here. That as well has been codified in their regulatory agreement. KDF has hired PPS Security Company. We've met with them regularly and they participate in our regular security meetings on a monthly basis. So far, it seems the community is really happy with this selection. They've also been asked to incorporate a resident grievance process, a tenant participation plan, and a procedure for handling late rent payments. That was a request, again, on behalf of the residents of Valley Palms. There hadn't been a grievance procedure prior. Now there is. They have drafted the initial grievance procedure. It's being reviewed by both the residents and the city council. And I believe that will be completed in January. Again, some of the other 3 of the additional, there were 11, I think in total, there was a request that the property management company have a anonymous resident survey to be really a survey about the services delivered by the previous on-site resident services provider who is no longer there. We have put this element on hold, although I do think that once a provider is selected, that will be a reconvened topic that we discuss. They've also asked the property owners to maintain translations on the current lease and rental agreements, both in Spanish and Vietnamese. Believe it or not, leases were only made in English. We now have leases that are in Spanish and Vietnamese, and we have staff at the Valley Property Management, or VPM company, who are able to explain those leases to the tenants. And then finally, the residents asked for improved collaboration with San Jose PD to share surveillance data. So of course, some of this data is proprietary to the security company, but we're in conversation with San Jose PD to ensure that, one, residents their privacy is protected, and that if and when there's an event of somebody who has been detected by the security cameras for a reason, for a criminal activity reason, we have a process for informing that person. And the tenants are well aware that their privacy is being protected. They know the procedure. The security company has shared that procedure directly with the residents. So I believe that was my TEFRA update. Here's some few pictures. Again, we're doing COVID level testing at the San Isidro Park. That continues. It's been very successful. It is one of those areas currently focus of the public health department. They've also worked closely with the San Isidro Nueva Vida team to train them as promotoras. And so that's been ongoing since, I believe, August. They're continuing to do neighborhood level outreach, explaining what contact tracing is. And oftentimes we know when residents explain this to their neighbors, the information is better received. So we're hopeful that that will have an impact on people coming out and getting tested. And then here's just a quick picture of the upgraded kitchen in the Valley Palms FRC. This was a result of the TEFRA funding, or the improvements to the facility. We're quite proud of it. If you were to see a picture before, you'd be surprised. So that is the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Great. And with that, I'm going to turn to Dave to see what your thoughts are on this presentation.
Great. My thoughts are good job. And I mean, it's been interesting watching you, modify things to get COVID testing out there and respond, to the pandemic using the foothold in these communities that was previously established, and and obviously doing a lot of this work to make people feel secure while at the same time not feeling like they're being watched by authorities or subject to invasion of privacy or somehow imprisoned in their own homes. I mean, this is all really important. So I really don't have anything else to add other than great job, and I would really encourage continuing in the same direction and continue. Obviously you're going to continue to modify things, hopefully as we get back to normalcy in the rest of society. Obviously there'll be a level of normalcy to this program that can be reapplied to the community here, and I'm sure that'll give it another boost. So that's all I really have to say. Charmaine and Supervisor Chavez, great job.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions, but I think after looking at the report, I was still having a little bit of a difficult time understanding the relationship between the NSU itself and the San Jose Peace Partnership. I know they're both county run, but I still don't really understand what the connection is.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Chavez. NSU staff, including myself, participate in several of the work groups that are part of the East Peace Partnership. The backbone agency for the East Peace Partnership, of course, is the Public Health Department. It's co-chaired by both, I believe, Dr. Sarah Cody and Camille from Somos. NSU participates as a partner, so our role is really to help share some of our lessons learned in helping residents organize in the Valley Palms community and really be able to prevent or assist other communities in making some of the same initial mistakes we made, and then also just really sharing how we've done our work. And so that's really NSU's role with the Peace Partnership.
So are you geographically overlapping, but you're just...
So Supervisor Chavez, this is Mariel. Hi. I might be able to better assist in helping you understand how it's working. So the Peace Partnership is, it actually has several zip codes, one of which is 95112, where NSU is. So we're a partner with multiple others, and we bring the resources of the probation department and the NSU to bear as part of the Peace Partnership. But there's other zip codes that are involved in the Eastside Peace. I believe there's 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions, and thank you both for being here with us today. And we don't have an action to take. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to go on to item 16, which is SSA's verbal report, and then we'll go to 17, which is DCSS's report.
Great. Good afternoon. So first, I just wanted to start off by again congratulating Supervisor Cortese in his new role, and just to thank him for his tireless advocacy and support of our children, families, seniors, veterans, all that fall under our particular purview, but also just the support of the community at large. And also just a hearty thank you for truly holding our feet to the fire all the time and making sure that we're at the top of our game and making sure we're doing and operating at our very best all the time, and knowing that we're always accountable to the committee and to you guys. And it's just always been a great pleasure to be able to come together, have these conversations, come up for air from our kind of daily work, and think through some of the challenges that we face, and think hard about how we can always be improving what we do, and just knowing we always had a solid partner in that, and we'll continue to do so in your future work. I also just wanted to add that I wanted to announce that there's 2 additions to our executive leadership here at SSA. One is we wanted to announce the director of our Department of Children and Family Services. So for the past year or so, Dan Little had stepped up in the role from his assistant director position to serve as the acting director during what can truly, I think, be characterized as one of the most challenging trial by firing squad kind of periods, going through challenges with some of our systems issues and really thinking about how we can reform and do better work there. Working through our labor negotiations, which were lively and certainly challenging at times, and really stretched all of us to think about how we can really continue to do the work that we need to do as a solid, cohesive team. And Dan was an important part of that effort, and also just taking on the work of the pandemic. Through all of that, not really sure why Dan threw his hat in the ring and said he truly was interested in continuing this work. We went through an extensive recruitment process. We actually put this out a couple of times to make sure we were casting the widest net possible. We had a rigorous interview process where we involved our union members, our county staff, as well as many community members to get input. And in the end, Dan Little was selected as our leader for our Department of Children and Family Services. So we wanted to congratulate him and welcome him into his new role, and that we just are so excited to formally have him in the role so that he can truly have license to do the work that he has and really fill out his vision. And we're looking forward to just supporting him in that role and capacity. I also wanted to mention that our Chief Financial Officer, Julia Wyman, had retired at the end of August. She stuck with us through an extended period. She was going to retire in the spring, but stuck with us through seeing us through a lot of the pandemic and budget work that was coming at us. During the past couple of months, we had her right-hand person, another Dan, join in and doing his piece to fill in as acting in the role of CFO. And we're happy to announce that we again had a rigorous process of recruitment and interviews. And we are happy to announce that Dan will be promoting into the role of CFO, and will be. This is just news as of this week. So we'll be sending out a notice with all the information around that. But the two important roles that we're able to fill as part of our executive leadership, and we're happy to have these seasoned veterans on board with us. So just wanted to put that out there and welcome and congratulate them into their new roles.
Thank you, Bob. And to both Dan's, congratulations, and Dan Little, thank you. I've been able to see your work on the ground. I'm really excited for you, for both Dan's, but you in particular. Thank you. Ignacio? Oh, Dave, did you have any comments on that?
No, just to thank Bob for his earlier comments. I want to acknowledge his earlier comments, and it's good to know that he's not hating me after all this time of holding feet to the fire. So, and if he is, he's disguising it very well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ignacio?
Thank you very much. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank Supervisor Cortese for his years of service, leadership, and commitment to the children and families in Santa Clara County, and to really be a champion, not only for all of those issues that affect children and families, but on behalf of the Department of Child Support Services. And we look forward to working with you in your new role in the Senate. Obviously, DCSS is a statewide program, so we have a significant amount of interface with the state and with the state legislature on a variety of statewide issues. So you will be missed, but we're obviously thankful and happy that you're headed in a new direction, and just wanted to thank you for everything as well. With that,
Thank you.
You're welcome. With that, the only other update I had was I promised the committee to give an update on AB 253, which was the statute that created a pilot for remote court reporting. And the child support courtrooms were part of that pilot. So we began the pilot before COVID-19 hit, and we're able to test out the pilot. And then when we transitioned to virtual hearings using Microsoft Teams, we continued with the pilot. I'm happy to report that our remote court hearing pilot went very well. The committee, which is led by Presiding Judge Ryan and Supervising Family Law Judge Peg, has been meeting on a regular basis. And this last week, we had our last meeting where now they're transitioning away from child support and they're looking at testing the remote court reporting pilot in criminal and in other family law sections of the court. Overall, the pilot went well, and there's a lot of opportunity for court reporters to be able to do remote reporting. Obviously, all of this came to head during COVID-19, so we had to be very flexible and very agile in figuring out how we could continue the pilot. The statute requires us to complete it by the end of the calendar year. So we have one more meeting coming up in December, and then there will be a report to the state legislature as required by the statute to evaluate the success of that. But overall, it's been very successful. We've had to work out a few tweaks here and there, but we would be, in essence, the first county in the state to successfully pilot a remote court reporting program, and would give us a lot of flexibility to allow our court reporters to be able to perform their jobs without being in the courtroom and on site. And so that's a big success. So I will give one more final report at the time that the committee prepares its evaluation and submission to the legislature. But I just wanted to update everyone to let you know that that project has, in essence, from the child support perspective, been completed through our courtroom and now moving on to the next phase. But overall, it's been going very well. And with that, I'm happy to take on any questions. And again, congratulations, Supervisor Cortese. You will be missed.
Thank you, Ignacio. That's really exciting news. And thanks for keeping us in the loop on that. Dave, did you have any comments?
I'll keep up the good work. Is this only comments I have? Obviously, Department of Child Support Services come a long, long way over the years. I haven't forgotten where it was when I got here, and the progress honestly has nothing to do with me. It has to do with management discipline and strong efforts there, and collaboration and innovation. So I don't know how much more of that you can do, under the circumstances, but keep trying and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to our last item on our FGOC agenda, and that's item 19, the Los Altos Hills Fire Department report on audit recommendations. And I think, Cheryl, are you going to give us a quick update on this?
Yes, I'll be brief. As you know, we were requested to provide a monthly report on the fire district's progress in implementing the recommendations that were approved by the Board of Supervisors. And this is our first monthly report. And thus far, excuse me, we believe that the fire district is on track to either implement the recommendations or they have already implemented the recommendations. The only thing that we think is really outstanding at the moment is some of the consolidation and digitization of their records, but that's been stalled a little bit by the COVID pandemic. So we're going to follow up on that later, but we don't see anything at the moment that gives us concern.
Thank you. And Ms. Logan, did you want to give an update on the consolidation and I can't say that second word, digitization of the records?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, honorable supervisors, for this opportunity to speak. I'm very pleased to be here. Yes, I will be working with County Council and also Management Audit to ensure that we have the proper process and procedures to transfer those records to the clerk's office for the Board of Supervisors. And as was said, we're a little stalled because the records right now are kept at El Monte Fire Station, which is off limits to residents or private parties. So we'll work that out with Central Fire. I hope that's responsive to your questions there.
Pardon me, just one moment. Thank you for that. You know, is El Monte off limits because it's closed? Is that the closed fire station?
Well, it's for COVID protection to the fire crew. Yes.
Got it.
They just don't want private traffic in that's not part of the fire.
Of course, you don't need any more people. That makes a lot of sense. You know, since I have you, let me just ask a question. You know, I've been asking for more reports and a more strategic approach to how we deal with wildland fires. And so I'm not sure if this is a question actually for you, General Manager Logan, or if it's a question for Cheryl, but the question I was curious about is that when the night that we heard the hearing, when I frankly was interested in looking more at how we consolidate more of the disparate departments, and mostly it's because I really think that we have to get our acts together relative to wildfires. And one thing that I found sort of striking from the discussion that night is that I wasn't clear whether or not the fire department, the Los Altos Hills department, whether or not I understood how resources were accessed by the department, and then how resources were being shared regionally, particularly during wildfires. And I wondered if you all had already done like a study or a plan that maybe someone referenced in that hearing, because I for some reason that stuck in my head after the evening.
Yes, I could speak to that. That's a very good point, and thank you for bringing that to the forefront again. I would like to have more information for you in the December report that would be reported, and that would be to look at the regionalization that the fire district, that's Los Altos Hills County Fire District, can provide on a regional basis that would enhance mutual aid to the various agencies around us, if that is getting to what you're referring to.
You know what, you're right. Thank you for that. It was about mutual aid, because what I was sort of struck by was that some of the comments from the residents seemed really, what I was having a hard time understanding is how resources get accessed by the community from other fire departments, because given the size of Los Altos Hills and given the size of the fire department, much in my mind of the bigger emergencies are really covered more regionally. And what was really unclear to me is I didn't really understand, even from what I read, the mutuality of the mutual aid, meaning it seemed like there was much more resources coming in than a resource sharing. But I'm not sure if that was my impression, but I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Well, I think the perception needs to be explored, because as a county fire district with only one operative fire station, it may appear that the fire station is taking all the mutual aid inward to the benefit of the fire district. And yet we have a plan that's very much enhancing that regionalization of taking the resources we have and sharing them outward with other jurisdictions. And I think in the December report, if I can get into that through the matrix reporting process, that may be very helpful. That report would go through Management Audit Division first, and then come to the two committees, Hewlett and FGOC, to be explored. So
that would be really helpful, and I appreciate that. And I think that part of the other reason I feel like I want to understand this much more at a granular level than I may. Like, I want to better understand the perspective of the district, is that my reading of the reports that we got prior to that would lead me to believe that if we treated the Los Altos Hills Fire District the same way that we're treating the South County Fire District, I'm just using this for illustrative purposes, is that we were looking at calls for service to determine whether or not, for example, the city of Morgan Hill needed to contribute more to the South County Fire District because the mutual aid, there were some disparities in it, and also some disparities in terms of the way billing was structured. And early on, when I initially read the report about the Los Altos Hills Fire District, mm-hmm. I was left with the same impression, but I didn't see it in the report. So I would appreciate it if you would give some of your thoughts to it, and I look forward to hearing about that in December.
Thank you. Excellent. We'll do that, and we'll just work this conversation through and get you as much information as you need to feel comfortable, and then to give direction and suggestions to us. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you. And I know you all are going to play an active role as the research is being done about how we can improve our wildfire response.
Yes.
And I know we're bringing something to the board. I think there's a discussion to the full board in December, but I'll make sure that we circle back and verify that, because it might be January. My timing might be off.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for your thoughtful comments.
Yes.
All right. Cheryl, anything else from you? Dave, anything from you? Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl. Not from Dave.
No, I was just gonna say thank you, and I wanted to add to my congratulations to Supervisor Cortese on his election to the Senate, and I wish you well. Thank you for your assistance over the years.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. That's wonderful. Thank you. I enjoyed working with Harvey Rose for these last dozen years. I have absolutely nothing but positive things to say professionally, and thoughts about Harvey Rose professionally in terms of its support of the Board of Supervisors during the time I've been here. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much. And we're going to close this meeting. And Dave, I was going to read the top 10 hits from this committee: school link services, immigration reform, adoption of sexual assault protocols, investment in sexual assault, domestic violence, focus on the needs of children, particularly in the juvenile justice system, juvenile justice reform, your environmental stewardship, the neighborhood services unit, the Vietnamese community health study, Measure A, your work with foster youth, and that was what I could get to in the last couple minutes. And a big, significant thank you.
Oh, thank you too. I'm gonna miss you all. Gonna particularly miss you, Supervisor Chavez, and of course everybody else. And as I said earlier, if some of the folks weren't, on the Zoom yet, we all know whatever those top hits are, those top issues are or projects that we've been able to accomplish together over the years. It's a tremendous work of the employees of the County of Santa Clara that is really what gets it done. So thank you.
Very true. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your night.